Hello, and welcome to Tier 2 of the Dokkan Battle Iceberg. The first video took a lot longer than I really wanted it to, but hopefully, as I record this during the first week of January 2022, that's not the case here. After getting the first video of this series finished and uploaded earlier this week, I'm feeling really good about things. And, since all the introductory information was already taken care of in said last video, we can just get right into this one. So, it's time for Tier 2 of the Dokkan Battle Iceberg. Now, let's come down from the skies and spend some time at the tip of the iceberg. To start off Tier 2 of the iceberg here, we have Super AGL and Extreme Tech ESBR. This entry is referring to the intense difficulty of both of these Extreme Super Battle Road stages. More specifically, the stages are versus Extreme STR, which is where you would use Super AGL units, and versus Super AGL, which is where you would be using Extreme Tech units. The difficulty of both of these stages is kind of similar in the fact that both of them have been considered extremely hard for a very long time, but the reasoning behind their difficulties is different. For the case of Super AGL, the difficulty comes from the typing having a lot of good units. Which sounds weird, but this is because the difficulty of the stage is ramped up in order to combat how many good units the typing has. For the case of Extreme Tech, the problem is that the stage is pretty hard in its own right, but Extreme Tech has very few good options for team building within its type, so it adds a whole other layer of difficulty. As with a lot of endgame content in Dokkan, over time, these problems have kind of been alleviated as more and more new units come out for both of those typings to help make the stage a little bit easier for most players. This could mean either players finally being able to no-item the stage, or for some players, even being able to beat it for the first time. Next up, we have Vegito counter videos. There's a couple interpretations of this entry that I was able to find while researching, so I thought I'd go ahead and list both of them here. The first one we have here is people recording videos of a boss fight where the enemy is attacking multiple times in one slot, and the player uses a countering Vegito unit in that slot. It makes sense that it could end up on the iceberg, as watching those kinds of videos where Vegito is just countering and countering can be kind of satisfying, to be honest. The second possible interpretation I found was people using the multitude of Vegito counter animations that exist in Dokkan for the purposes of memes, which is a very common thing in this community. Lots of memes here. The first interpretation I listed out, which was people recording videos of a boss fight where Vegito just counters a bunch of times, is probably what was originally intended in its original iceberg, but I thought I would mention the second point too since it seemed relevant enough. And, you know, who doesn't like memes? This next entry is a fun one to say the least. This entry is I'll eat my dick. Now hold on, hear me out here. This entry refers to users in the community who make posts about predictions for the game that they're very confident in, and their confidence leads them to saying some outrageous things if they don't come true. These predictions tend to be on things like, oh, I think these units will be for this anniversary, or I think when they release this unit, they'll put this in their passive, things like that. While some of the claims that people make are quite outrageous for a prediction not coming true, such as the name of the entry, there are some other forms that usually tend to be Dokkan related. These are things such as, I'll baba all of my LRs if the 7th anniversary isn't fusions related, or I'll blow all of my 5 stones on box space if the 7th anniversary isn't Mercenary Tau and General Blue, or I'll feed this LR into insert crappy unit here if the 7th anniversary is not Saiyan Saga themed. As you can expect from people on the internet, not everyone goes through with these if they're wrong. Some people just hope it fades into obscurity. However, there have been some people that have followed through on some of these Dokkan ones. There have been people who have bobbed LRs, fed them into crappy units, or blew a bunch of stones on a crappy banner because they got their prediction wrong. And I respect that. They made a prediction, they were wrong, and they followed through on what they said they'd do. Although, I don't think anyone in the community has eaten their dick over prediction. At least not yet. This next entry here is Monkey. That's it. That's the meme.
Go back! I want to be monkey!
So, with the popularity of the monkey meme recently, well, as recently as 2020, I guess, people have taken to using the meme term on the Dokkan sub in reference to Super Saiyan 4 characters, most notably Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Back in mid-October of 2020, we got V-Jump leaks for the JP version that Int Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta would be coming soon, and people collectively lost their minds because Hype Monkey Man. This then spawned a lot of people getting excited for it, with the monkey meme being used for fun, showing that they thought the Super Saiyan 4s were superior, with, you know, the memes of reject godhood, embrace monkey, things of that nature. And so, as you can expect with the Dokkan sub, when Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta inevitably released on Global that next year, in February 2021, the meme came back and repeated itself for his release as well. This next entry here is Friends List. This entry refers to the friends list in the game, and how it is trash. It tends to be hard to find niche leaders for not so popular categories in Dokkan. In some cases, newly released units will disappear from the friends list just days after their celebration ends, and sometimes even earlier than that. This renders new niche categories that Akatsuki likes to release every Dokkan Fest pretty much useless just a couple weeks after their release. Players have constantly been pushing for an update to the friend system for years, but there's a little ray of hope here, because this may be a possibility with the upcoming version Z update. We're all still holding out hope. Next up here, we have 144p enemies. This refers to how a lot of in-game sprites, most notably the enemy sprites, are very, very low quality. It's always been noticed, but this became heavily apparent once super attack animations became better and higher quality. As this has gone on, it's led to some very jarring visuals in some otherwise beautiful super attack animations. Like many other things in this game, players have been pushing for this to be updated, especially once super attacks became higher quality. And, again, people are hoping that version Z will be where this thing can get fixed, but we have no idea yet, so we'll see what the future holds. Next entry here is Gohan vs. Cooler. This entry refers to the relatively ongoing debate in the community, at least r/DBZDokkanBattle, between which unit is better, Tech Gohan or STR Cooler. Well, at this point, the debate has kind of been pushed down to meme status. There's still a little bit of real debate going on here and there. As for the arguments of both sides, we'll start with Gohan. The main arguments for Gohan are high defense, attack and defense stacking, guard, team versatility, with a lot of categories, and also things like Saiyan lineage getting quite a big buff recently, active skill condition, and for his transformation into Ultimate Gohan, his stunning, guard, and high attack and defense. As for the arguments for Cooler, the main arguments are his leader skill, debuffs, support, his link set, which is pretty good amongst most villains, especially Wicked Bloodline, his team versatility, which includes a lot of categories as well, which is especially valuable for extreme class units, and then his transformation into Final Form Cooler. Attack stacking, additional attack, and crits against Saiyans both pure and hybrid. Again, while pretty much meme status, the battle still rages on, I guess. This next entry here is the Homie Goresh. This refers to
The homie, Goresh.
Goresh is a personality in both the Dokkan and Dragon Ball Legends communities. For Dokkan, he's most known for providing translations for JP. Usually, he provides these translations for news and updates, but mostly new units as they release. Over time, he's gone on to expand from just translating on the subreddit and Twitter and such, to also doing his own YouTube videos. His content for Dokkan is similar to other Dokkan tubers, including summons, game discussions, clears of difficult content, and news videos. Ironically enough, for being someone who's providing a lot of translations and stuff for JP things, most of his Dokkan content just focuses on his global account for the game. As Goresh has grown on YouTube, he's also joined the 5-9 gaming crew, which includes a good few other Dokkan tubers, as mentioned back in Tier 1. As for the name of this entry itself, the Homie Goresh, this comes from Truth whenever he would mention Goresh's translations in videos where he covers some news. He would always mention things like,
So, we have translations from the homie, Goresh.
which this popularized his nickname as just being the Homie Goresh instead of just Goresh, but people usually just refer to him by that name too. This next entry here is quite the infamous one. 300 stones. This entry is talking about the compensation that was given out during the physical Kefla banner on JP back in November 2017. The banner displayed false rates, which is highly illegal in Japan, and I assume some other places, but it's focused on Japan since it was on JP. Considering the seriousness of an issue like this, Akatsuki distributed refunds to all players who summoned, as well as 300 stones as compensation to every player. This large compensation got the player base quite excited, as up until that point, this was the largest amount of compensation ever given, just considering the 300 stones alone, and to this day, when you include that, it still is the biggest compensation that has ever been given for Dokkan. Since then, people have complained that Global never got those 300 stones, and along with the complaining, people generally just use it as a joke now, with the main joke being insert a very small issue such as a one-word typo in a news post in-game, and a user subsequently commenting, 300 stone compensation! Outside of refunds on a couple banners, such as STR Rose on JP and the 2021 New Year's Fiasco on Global, there has never been a compensation this large in stone count since this issue, considering while those refunds could be big depending on how many stones people spent, they'll never top this, as people got refunded stones for Kefla as well as 300 stones as a baseline. This next entry is UI Goku dodging. This entry most likely refers to a couple things, but I think that the second thing I'll mention is more likely. Starting off though, we have UI/MUI Goku's dodging in the legendary Goku event. The Ultra Instinct Sign and Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku bosses in the legendary Goku event can dodge player attacks. Mostly applying to the MUI boss, it almost seems like he dodges most of the player's attacks, especially crucial ones. Examples of situations like this are a player is at low health, where one hit would just kill them, and MUI Goku would die with just one super attack. And instead, of dying, he dodges it, then killing the player afterwards.
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
It's a very rough situation and has happened to a lot of players while trying to take down that event. The second thing here that I think this entry is most likely talking about is all the variants of UI Goku not dodging. Players have found that even with their high chance of dodging, which is 70% mind you, all the variants of Ultra Instinct Goku, including the Int Mastered UI, the LR STR UI Sign Goku, the AGL LR MUI Goku, etc., all seem to dodge when it's not a problem if they do or not, just some piddly normal attack, but when it's important, like a killer SA in a Super Battle Road run, they just never seem to dodge. This next entry here is transforming Vegeta on banners. This entry refers to physical transforming Vegeta, who transforms from Super Saiyan up to Super Saiyan Blue, seeming to be slapped on what feels like every other banner since his release. This also applies to the other two similar transforming cards, AGL transforming Goku and Tech transforming Frieza. For some reason, Akatsuki likes to slap all three of them on whatever banners they see fit. Probably due to their base cards being just base Vegeta as an SSR, base Goku as an SSR, and base Hoverchair Frieza as an SSR, meaning that you can kind of put them wherever. This has happened a lot, and since they're older cards, this happening a lot means that a lot of players probably have them with multiple dupes, or even all of them rainbowed. As of late, though, it seems like this problem has been on its way to being alleviated, as the AGL Goku and the Tech Frieza received Easy A's with the 350 million download celebration back in August of 2021. We're still holding out hope for Vegeta, though, as he is yet to Easy A, but hopefully that'll be soon. Next up, we have Nano Luck. This entry refers to the insane luck of a Dokkan tuber named Nanogenics, mentioned back in Tier 1. In the last couple years, his luck has just been insane, and this amazing luck has become a big meme in the community, with having mentions all over the place in the communities, and even being a joke between him and other YouTubers he does collab summons with, a lot of the times being true. Ironically enough, though, earlier in his career, he seemed to actually have horrible luck. This luck was bad enough to spawn a whole meme, Nano-LR-Genics. This whole meme was just for fun, and Nano took it on the chin and even leaned into it by offering merch that said Nano-LR-Genics. And once he finally pulled an LR...
No, Nano-LR-Genics is a thing, which whoever thought of that is the most creative thing ever. I don't know how many multis it's gonna take, but I want it to happen. Yamcha gonna bring us the luck. Dude.
Oh. Yes! Yes!
Yes! He gave everyone a couple weeks and then cut the merch off. It was a fun little joke that lasted for a while, but I'm glad to see that it's transitioned from Nano having no luck to having almost too much luck. Good for you, Nano. Next up, we have Level 79 Hercule statue. Back around August of 2017 on Global, there was an anomaly where most players received a Platinum Hercule statue that was level 79 instead of level 80, which was the max level for that statue type. Apparently, the statue also sold for 79/80ths of the original value of a normal platinum statue, which is 1,500,000 zenny. The adjusted value was 1,481,250 zenny. Interestingly enough, Akatsuki actually sent out compensation for the remaining zenny back around when the issue first happened and was noticed. The anomaly of the level 79 Hercule statues was eventually patched out in update 4.12.0 on Global in November 2020. This was the update that changed boxes to where unusable cards such as Kai's or Hercule statues were now stored in a completely separate part of the box to no longer take up box space. This next entry is Global LR Tech Broly Active Skill. LR Tech Broly first released on Global in May of 2019 for Goku Day. Upon his release though, he didn't have a voice line with his active skill. At the time, this was thought to be because of the recent controversy with Vic Mignogna, who was the original English voice actor for Broly in the Funimation dub. When released later that year in July on JP, Broly did actually have his Japanese voice line. Despite at least the Japanese voice line being added, Tech Broly on Global still didn't have a voice line for both the English and Japanese audio settings. This was finally fixed in March of 2021 for Saiyan Day, as there was another Z-era Broly released with an active skill, which was in Legendary Super Saiyan Broly. Since the release of Dragon Ball Super Broly, featuring Johnny Young Bosch as Broly, Bosch has been voicing Z-era Broly in place of Vic for games released after the Vic controversy. So, Bosch voiced the new Int Broly's English active skill, as well as the new voice line for LR Tech Broly's English active skill. This also resulted in the Japanese voice line finally being added for the Japanese audio setting on Global. Next up, we have Quest Mode Forgotten. There has not been an update to the quest mode of Dokkan since 2017. At this point, players have just assumed that Akatsuki abandoned the mode. There have been theories ranging from just forgotten outright, abandoned purposely by the devs, it was done on purpose to lessen the stream of free-to-play stones, or they're just applying focus to other areas of the game and they'll come back to it eventually. With version Z being announced early last year, people thought that maybe this was finally time for the quest mode to be updated. However, as we've seen so far, there hasn't been anything specifically announced for it. However, we have seen something that might leave the quest mode in an even worse state of limbo. With the Dragon Ball Story mode that was introduced with the first part of version Z, we're now a little bit more unsure whether the quest mode will ever see any kind of an update. Next entry is login failures during big celebrations. From 2015, the game's release, to 2017, huge celebrations, for example, the anniversaries, would crash the game servers when banners dropped, due to the massive amounts of players all logging in at the same time. 4 notable occurrences of this were the first anniversary on both JP and Global, the release of physical Legendary Super Saiyan Broly and AGL Super Vegito for both JP and Global, the second anniversary for both JP and Global, and the release of Int Super Gogeta and STR Super Janemba, more specifically on Global. Since the Thank You celebration on Global, November 2017, Akatsuki instead started putting the game into maintenance when big banners were about to be released. This would allow Akatsuki to let players into the game in waves as not to overload the servers. Seeing as back then Akatsuki was still releasing the exact date and time of these big banners releases, people were able to flood the servers at the exact time the banner released. These occurrences of players flooding the servers led to Akatsuki removing the time of banner releases from the in-game announcements for all these bigger celebrations, such as anniversary banners, and only showing the date of release. Nowadays, Akatsuki only releases the exact time and date of non-banner events, so login bonuses, story events, campaigns, things like that. But for the major banners, you only get a date now. This next entry is Unobtainable Cards. There are a lot of unobtainable cards in Dokkan, so let's go ahead and list some out. The first set here are enemy/boss cards. There are some of them that are just completely not obtainable in the game and you can only fight them as an enemy. And then there are some that are actual obtainable cards, but there might be something changed about them, such as their typing might be different. The next set are cards obtained from giveaways. A couple kinds of giveaways to start this off here include special one-time login bonuses and some social media campaigns, such as the SR Int Super Saiyan Blue Goku from Resurrection F, or the SSR AGL Spirit Bomb Goku that was released around the first year anniversary. Another type of special giveaway are VJump codes. These are pretty much JP exclusive, as these were codes handed out in VJumps. Examples of these are the SR STR Super Saiyan Blue Goku, or the SR STR Xeno Trunks. The next set of cards we have here are from special one-time missions. Examples of these cards include the SR Tech Roshi or the SR AGL Kid Goku, which are both obtainable from early missions in the game. This next set here are cards that were only available for a limited time or they just never returned, thus making them now unobtainable. Examples of these are the Arale banner and event units, including all the Arales, the version of Mercenary Tau and General Blue that were on that banner, etc. And another example would be the STR SSR Bye Guys Goku from the crossover with One Piece Treasure Cruise. The final set I have listed here are cards that were removed from the General Summon Pool, which they'll be discussed later. Next up, we have a short and sweet entry here, extremely rare cards. There are a lot of cards in this game that are pretty rare for some players to have, and I'm not just talking LRs, I'm talking some highly exclusive things. These exclusive cards are pretty much just all the cards that I mentioned in the previous entry that were previously obtainable but just aren't obtainable anymore. All of these cards are still in the game, owned by some players, and fully usable. Over time, some cards that were exclusive, Akatsuki has made them obtainable again. One example of these cards that were rare and unobtainable, but are now obtainable, are the cards from the Global vs. JP Clash Showdowns during the worldwide celebrations. During these, each side gets a winning and a losing card depending on who wins and loses, but now during the anniversary, using the anniversary coins that we get, you can buy the winning and losing cards in the Baba Shop. Next up, this final entry for Tier 2, Global EZA Release Gaps. This entry has become a huge problem on Global in recent years. For some reason, Akatsuki likes to randomly pick apart celebrations from JP when they come to Global and just take things out, for whatever reason. And it seemed like for a while, the biggest victim of this were the EZAs. For whatever reason, Akatsuki's put long gaps between releasing some EZAs, some of them being main headliner unit EZAs, and some of them just being sub-EZAs. The most notable of which to global players are Int Janemba and Physical Kale / AGL Caulifla. For whatever reason, Akatsuki just does this. There's really no thought behind it that anybody can pick out. Sometimes delaying EZAs so badly that they're just removed from their original celebrations to be left in limbo, which is usually the case instead of just delayed to a different part. It's gotten so bad at this point that as of recently, December 2021, during the Christmas campaign when we got Tech, Kale, and Caulifla, people were concerned that we weren't going to get the EZA for Tech Hit or the free-to-play units from that celebration. We eventually did receive them, but it's just a lot that now we're just worried that our celebrations are just going to be picked apart and they're going to be bare bones and we lose all this content on Global. It's a problem that's been around for a while, and the EZAs are just a symptom of a bigger issue of Akatsuki picking apart celebrations, such as us not getting physical LR Janemba on Global with the Tech Gogeta celebration in November when he should have been there. And instead we got a filler banner of LR Spirit Bomb Goku, and Angel Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta from Busaka. For whatever reason, we just got that dual legendary summon instead of the one for the new LR we should have gotten. So now he's delayed to the abyss. And with that final entry done, we have now completed the second tier of the Dokkan Battle Iceberg. I'm recording this outro at the end of about half a day's worth of recording, which included the intro and all the entries for this tier, so hopefully that's a sign that there will be a better release schedule for this next part here that I'm doing. Inserting this little bit in here to say that it did not get better. The release schedule is still a little long. While it's not quite the same gap as early June to January of the next year, it's, still kind of bad. Hopefully, it can get a little better as time goes on, but I can't make any promises, especially as these videos are gonna eventually get longer when we get to the later topics where there is a lot more to cover, which will probably have to be in multiple parts, but we'll get there when we get there. I've seen the support and the views on the last one, and honestly, I'm just surprised I got more than my own testing views, to be honest. I'm very happy that there's people out there that are seeing this, and from likes and a comment on there that people are indeed enjoying it, and I'm just really happy that I'm not the only one who's having fun with this. As I said before, this is just a personal fun project for me, so anyone else who can see this and enjoy it, just a huge bonus for me. Even more appreciation again to anyone who does like or subscribe because of these videos, because it is 100% unnecessary, so I'm just even more grateful if you're doing that. But that's nothing to the people who just sit and watch. All I can ask is that someone enjoys it. It's good enough for me. So, here we are, ending off this video now. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you in the next part of the Dokkan Battle Iceberg for Tier 3. I'll see y'all then.